How do you pick a really good influencer for your dropshipping business? That's a very important question, and in the long run, this is the thing which is going to make you successful. Okay, having really good creatives. So the first step is obviously finding a winning product. After you have one, it's going to be one of the most important parts to keep it alive, to actually start working with people who know what they're doing in terms of videos. So in this video, we're going to go very deep on how to find them, where to find them, and how to pick if they're actually good or bad. Okay, so the very first thing you have to understand is the goal of an influencer is not to actually make money from the shout out the influencer made. All right, so if an influencer just has like 1,000 followers but makes really good videos, you want to work with them. They're not going to make you any sales from them posting the picture or the video on their feed, but you're going to make a lot of money through having a good video, which you can then reuse for Facebook ads. And there's a very big distinguishment between those two. Okay, making money up front and having really good videos are two separate things, and ideally you get both. So the ideal scenario is you get a free video. So basically you pay the influencer money, so they make the shout out, you make that money back from the influencer itself, and then you have a free video. If you're good at working with influencers, you literally just get free things. All right, it's completely for free. It's a zero-sum game. You don't have any extra expenses except for paying the influencer itself. So now let's talk about how to pick them. So the number one thing is how their previous content performed. Okay, that's the number one. Number two is how does the shout out look which they did previously. So did they already make paid promotions? If it's a super beginner who has no idea how to do anything, they're going to be cheaper, so that's a positive, but also they're going to have less experience, and that's a negative. Okay, and if you're just starting out, you can start with those people, that's not a problem, but ideally you should go for people who already made some shout outs here and there, have less than like 10,000 followers, so they're not expensive, but make already really good videos. Okay, and the process of finding influencers is a very tedious one. You need to make a list of hundreds of influencers and text all of them. All right, this needs to be done. It has to be done. You cannot just text 20 people and expect them to answer unless you're like verified on Instagram, which I assume you don't. So the only things you're looking out for is how good their content is, how good their shout outs were. Okay, that's it. And also, what's a very, very good sign is if one company comes back to them. Okay, so if you see that one company actually makes multiple shout outs with one single person, that means that they did a good job with the first one. Okay, they either made the money back from the first initial one, or they made a good video, or something that is right that the company actually comes back. Obviously, in some cases, it's just like a huge company which immediately buys like 10 videos or like 10 shout outs, and it doesn't really count. But normally you can actually trust that you do a test one first. Okay, normally most companies don't do like 10 videos up front immediately. They start with one. If that's good, they keep going. So what is crucial to actually get them to answer is having a good Instagram yourself. The profile you're texting from, it cannot just be a random one. It needs to look professional. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out or not, but it needs to look professional. So it has to have at least 9 pictures which look good on the surface level. Every single post itself doesn't have to look great. But when you come to the page, the overall structure has to be one theme. It cannot just be completely random different products looking like a general store and just like random videos, okay? The thumbnails or the pictures which you're gonna see are important. They're very, very important because that's just the first impression they're gonna have. They're just gonna look at the thing, like the grid. And the second thing is having a highlight, which is actually gonna show other influencers promoting this product. So every single time you have a shout out, you need to make a story of that and put it into your highlights, okay? Crucial, especially if you repost. So if you already bought a few influencer shoutouts, you're gonna be able to actually tell them, hey, tag us in the story, and that's it. And you basically just put the reposted story inside of your highlights, and then other people who come to you, who want to maybe work with you, are gonna see that, and it's just gonna be more social proof, and they're gonna understand, all right, this company is legit, they're paying people, they're not just scamming me, or like, not even scamming, but they're not wasting my time. And here you have to think a little bit bigger. You cannot think about this in terms of like one individual influencer. You just have to think about it as a whole thing. So what I mean by that is, let's say you agree with 10 influencers to actually start working with them. You send your product to them and you send them, let's say $50 per video on top of the product cost itself, okay? There's a high chance that a couple of them just will never send you a video at all, okay? You got scammed. However, that's not a problem because the other ones will send you a video and it was still worth it. You have to calculate scamming influencers inside of your costs of the other ones. Every few times you're going to send the product to a person, especially if they don't even pay you, they're not going to do anything. Okay, you send them the product and they never do anything. They just basically got a free product without having to do a video. And that's okay, and that's what you should expect. Okay, that's not something where you're going to be like, all right, fuck, I should never do this because I might get scammed again and I'm going to be super careful who I work with. No, that's inside of the product cost. If on average 2 out of 10 people scam you, that means that the product cost just increased by like 20%, but that's good, that's okay. Now, how do you actually find those influencers? And depending on your niche, it's going to be easier or harder. And depending on your niche, it's also going to be more or less competitive. Okay? In the beauty niche, there's way more people, like more brands reaching out to those influencers versus like a very, very specific, small targeted group of people. If it's a super tiny audience, it's going to be less people reaching out. However, you're also going to find less. So again, there's no better or worse. If you're in a big niche, that's totally fine. If you're in a smaller one, it's also okay. And one thing which is actually pretty easy to do is if you want to find really good influencers, you need to go down the rabbit hole of going crazy on every single either cool location or cool brand or something like that. For example, you just search up the coolest clubs in Miami. You go there, you search the club on Instagram, and you go through all the followers. That's how you do it, okay, the first thing. Then what you can also do is just you go on the tagged feature on Instagram and see which people actually tagged this club. And basically you're gonna see a bunch of people who are active on Instagram, because you just need the demographic of people who are super active on Instagram and posting a bunch of pictures and actually are good at that, okay? So you can find that super easily if you just do this. And normally if you search up these like high-level venues, which are actually either hard to get in or expensive to get in or something like that, you're normally on average gonna see more attractive people who are gonna then make better pictures and content for your product. So one more thing I wanna mention here is there's a very big difference in the follower count in some influencers. Okay, sometimes obviously it's great to make money off the shoutout itself, and that's for sure something you should aim for. So you need to understand that, for example, a person with 500,000 followers doesn't mean that it's the same exact 500,000 followers than another person. Okay, just the follower count is not the thing which indicates everything. It's more about how strong the connection between the influencer and the audience is. If it's just a meme page, it's not a strong connection at all, okay? If it's, for example, a person who has a YouTube channel, who has a podcast, and Instagram is just like a side thing they do, they're gonna have a very, very, very strong connection to their audience. If they're some kind of public figure who is famous in that like niche. For example, if you are in the boxing niche and you go into a very specific city where one guy is super famous, okay? Doesn't have a YouTube channel, he doesn't have a podcast, but he's super famous in that city for his boxing. A lot of people will actually come to an event he throws, all right? It's just him having the strong connection with them. And the same thing goes for a product he's gonna sell. A lot of people from that city are gonna buy the product because it's him, because they know him, they trust him 100%, okay? So it's more about the fan base, and you need to really understand that, check out their engagement rates, how many likes and comments they get, and also how often they get tagged, how often they get reposted, and all of those things. And always, before you start working with a person, check other platforms as well, because maybe you're just gonna get extra free traffic because they're also on YouTube and TikTok, and you're just gonna let them post everywhere. So those were just a couple of things which are very important to keep in mind when you're working with influencers. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and also if you wanna work with me one-on-one, click the link below, sign up for a free consultation session. We're basically gonna find out if everything is a good fit. If yes, we're gonna start working in a one-on-one mentoring program where I'm just gonna guide you through everything you need to do, okay? So click the link below and see you there.